Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host Jay. I'm here with my co-host Brad.
This week kind of just made me mad. Like every story that we're going to talk about today just kind of pisses me off. You know what I mean? Just one of those weeks where just the GOP is out here doing just fucking nonsense and just irritating me.
Yeah. I mean, look, Brad, if you're a San Francisco 49ers fan, just say that. Let's just get to the heart of it. Of course, congratulations to the CIA for their latest op in winning the Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah.
Dark Brandon saying just like they drew it up.
Yeah, look,
which is wild.
Look, man, I
love him for that shit.
I am a fan of this type of trolling. If you're going to troll as the president of the United States, troll them for being ridiculous, right? You don't troll them for just like general policy shit. That's just immature pettiness. But yeah, troll them for having a dumb conspiracy theory about how the government is rigging the Super Bowl. Yes, like come on, it's just dumb as shit. I don't appreciate people getting upset that Joe Biden put out that tweet and then tying it to these other things and like getting like fake upset. And it was a conspiracy. He was really referring to this Nigerian banker, these 6 Nigerian billionaires who died in a helicopter crash. Oh, that's what he's really referring to. It's a secret thing. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. One, if you've seen that dumb TikTok and that stupid woman saying this, one, it was not 6 Nigerian billionaires who died in a helicopter crash. It was one Nigerian billionaire who died. Him and his family, unfortunately, right? It's a helicopter crash. You know who also died in a helicopter crash? Kobe Bryant, right? Like helicopters are really dangerous, actually. Like there are helicopter crashes quite often, actually, way more than planes, I believe. Yeah, like you're rich and it's a cool way to travel, but you could die from it, right? Just like you die on a plane. So no, it wasn't 6. It wasn't a grand conspiracy. They killed this guy off. And no, none of that is true. Like you're just making it up, right? Oh, it was. They say it was about the Super Bowl, but I think it was this. Okay, you think it was. What evidence do you have? Like that's insane. Like kind of insane thought process is that. It's not. I saw one guy go, am I overreacting because, the violence in Gaza, is happening while he's tweeting this? Am I overreacting? Yeah, you're overreacting. Like the president.
Turns out people can be focused on more than one thing at a time. Yeah. I know it's weird. And I know that brain-addled old Biden like can hold multiple thoughts in his head simultaneously. But yeah, he actually can, it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and so can everyone else. Like, Don't play Republican politics. That's very silly. Like, I'm also concerned about Gaza and things like that. But if I wanted to, I don't care. I could also watch the Super Bowl and be like, yeah, that was really good and I enjoyed the game. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to, there doesn't have to be a balancing act constantly in your head. Like, you can think, this is a thing. I'm going to turn off for 5 seconds and I'm going to watch another thing. That's okay. It doesn't mean you don't give a shit about these other things. So, people getting upset, and I've noticed it's people on the left getting upset about that before they even realize what the tweet was about, which I don't know how you didn't know. Like, if you're so cued in on politics.
That's what I'm saying. I think you have to be, dialed in on, an internet level politics to understand what that was in reference to. So
okay, that's fair. But these are also people commenting on TikTok, which I think those type of people are dialed in. I think it's manufactured outrage because, of course, that's the new thing to do, right? Over the last couple of years. So, look, he's talking about the football game. He's talking about the ridiculous Republican conspiracy about it. I thought it was fucking hilarious. I think it's exactly the type of thing you should do. And apparently, people said that that are on Parler and stuff like that, because they just want to see what Republicans are up to. They said when that came out, those people fucking lost it. They were so angry, and I'm like,
oh, there's nothing that annoys people more is taking their thing and fucking co-opting it for your own japes, as it were. So
absolutely. I saw Elon Musk was like, I thought this was a joke account. Turns out it was from the president of the United States. I'm like, oh yes, Elon Musk. you're the guy to say this? Like,
Yeah, the arbiter of all that is serious, Elon Musk, let me tell you.
And the very first comment under that story I saw on Reddit was like, dude, there's definitely been worse things tweeted out from the presidential account than this. I guarantee you in the last couple of years. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, look, CIA rigged the Super Bowl, obviously. So that worked out great. Congratulations to future Biden endorser Taylor Swift. And I'm glad she's now popular because of her boyfriend, Travis Kelce.
Yep.
As I
Correct.
As I saw,
no one had heard of her until literally 3 months ago. So
no, I hope she does well in music. I hear she's got a little bit of a music career ahead of her.
All the by the way, I do find it funny. Like I just happened to read an article because there's a sports media website that I follow, and they put an article out today. So you know how like Republicans have been getting really upset at the fact that like, oh, they keep showing Taylor Swift all the time during football games. It's terrible. I will say that they did show her the most on camera during the Super Bowl, and she was on camera during the game for a grand total. Hold on to your butts, Jay, of 59 seconds. out of the 4 hour and 7 minute football game.
I mean,
and by the way, this Super Bowl just happened to be the most watched TV event in the history of television. Probably due in no small part to a lot of new fans that have been attracted to the NFL because Taylor Swift is there and they like Taylor Swift. And they think, oh, if she's watching the NFL, it must be cool. So I'm going to watch the NFL.
I mean, look, I find that weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't do the whole.
It's true though.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. Yeah.
I don't do the whole celebrity worship thing. I don't care if a celebrity is doing something that doesn't automatically mean I'm going to do it. I've just never been that type of person. but I understand like teenage girls are, teenage boys are like that. Like, yeah. And maybe I was, as I'm sort of revisionistly thinking about this, I probably was that way as a teenager. But like as a 43-year-old man, like, hey, your favorite celebrity is doing this thing. All right. Like,
well,
have fun.
And to that point, I saw a tweet like some fucking right-wing piece of shit was like this has gone far enough. Like clearly the NFL doesn't want me to watch their product anymore, and so I will not be watching the NFL any longer. And some dude replied to him and was like, cool, my 14-year-old daughter's watching the Super Bowl for the first time ever. She's more than happy to take your place.
Trust me, the NFL does not give a shit. They're like, oh, 2 more eyes? Great. Oh, did we lose 2? But we gained 2? It's fine. It's fine. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I don't understand the ramp up anger about the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing. I mean, look, let's be honest. Taylor, camera 3. Listen, it's probably not going to work out between you and Travis Kelce. You're probably not going to get married. Republicans, it's probably going to be over before the next season of the NFL starts. If we're being honest, look, I'm not hoping for it. I hope they find love and is great. They have a little vegan wedding. It's really fucking super uber lib. I love it for them. Good. Don't invite me. But why are you worried about a thing like this? Woman is notorious for like dating dudes and everybody really giving a shit, and then they breaking up and people go, that guy's a jerk. On to the next guy. She's in her 20s or whatever, 30. I don't know. Like she's not like maybe she's ready to settle down. Maybe she's not. I don't know. But I don't like her track record doesn't show like long-term 5-year commitment to Travis Kelce. It probably not gonna last that long. Like, who cares? Like, I don't know why you care. You're making a big whoop about a thing that's probably not going to be an issue by next season.
Yeah,
who cares? Look, I think
but also right, and also weirdly, because things can't just be what they are. Definitely some anti-woman stuff going on there because I don't see people complaining when. They show Jack Nicholson courtside at the Lakers. They show Spike Lee courtside at the Knicks. Like no one has anything to say about that.
No,
it's part of the experience,
right? Like also, like those guys are up, like sometimes yelling or standing up, like they are like getting into it. What's name is very famous for that? Drake and everything else, right? Like it's fine. She's just sitting in a fucking skybox.
fucking Drake is in here for at literally every team championship trying to like weasel his way into the locker room, and everyone's like, Drake's awesome. Yeah, like no one has fucking fuck all to say about it. He's the
ultimate fair weather fan. Oh yeah, I'm a huge LeBron James guy. I'm a huge Steph Curry guy. Are they on the same team? No, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I just want to go. I just want to be in the image, right? Like, and that's fine. I don't give a shit, dude. If I had Drake's money and I was interested in basketball, I'd sit courtside too. That sounds awesome. Like, yeah, I'd probably go now, and I don't care about sports, but like, hey, do you want to go to a courtside NBA game? Yeah, all right. Like, I'd like to see LeBron play in person. That sounds awesome. But like, there's never been an issue with that. There's also a weird, like, there's the anti-woman thing, which is bizarre. There's also the idea of they know where her political loyalties lie, right? Like, they are well aware. And she controls a lot of the sort of zeitgeist of like that young 13 to like 25-year-old white woman demographic. She really does, right? Like that is her fucking lane. Look, they're not that mad about Beyonce because they don't think black people matter as much, right? Beyonce is way more popular. Like she just is. She's way more popular than Taylor Swift. Like it was so like to prove just how popular Beyonce was, I believe she tweeted out like, "Oh, I have a new album coming out," like while she was at the Super Bowl. She just tweeted the shit out, and people were just like, "Wait, what? Oh my god!" And they just like went crazy. It's like she just tweeted the shit, right? Like she can do that in the most popular thing on TV in America and still get a massive response. But they don't care because they think that her lane is only black people. They're wrong. But that's how she's perceived. That's her own.
If only there was something the Republican Party could do to appeal to young women. I don't know. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything. You know, like I don't know. Maybe don't try to make abortion a fucking crime. I don't know. Like that's too easy. Too easy.
Okay,
I know. Like I'm not thinking this through all the way.
Yeah. Okay. Like I'm gonna need you to go back to the drawing board. They don't have time for that. Like, come on, respecting women, get out of here. That's not really their bag. So yeah, like they're afraid of her. And it's very silly to me. I mean, Trump came out and said that if Taylor Swift endorses Biden, she's going to be disloyal to him, right?
Okay.
This because he made her a lot of money. That's the argument.
In what respect? I'd love to know. Like, did he back that up with a second sentence? Okay, cool. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it.
Now, get this. This is wild because he is the president that signed the Music Modernization Act, right? Which like upgraded a lot of the sort of the copyright laws and things like that around music. By the way, you talk to actual musicians, they're like, yeah, it's better, but it's not really good for musicians either. It also still fucks a lot of musicians too. But he's like, I did that, and that allowed her to make so much more money, and she would be disloyal to me and all this other shit. And it's like the guy who wrote that act, like the actual lawyer who did all the heavy lifting, Dina LaPolte, was like, nah, bro, he doesn't even know what that does. He was like, why doesn't someone ask him? It was like, yeah, why doesn't somebody ask him what it actually does and see if he knows?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I'd like go to him like explain exactly what this bill did that you signed into legislation. What did you do to make sure that it passed through Congress? How did you lobby for this to happen?
Yeah. By the way, it passed through Congress with nearly unanimous consent.
So what you're saying was just So what you're saying, just one of the run of the mill regular ass government bills, basically that happened to happen during his presidency. Okay, just making sure.
Well, but
sure
he did it. No one else, no one in that seat would have signed that bill except for him. He was the one guy.
And to be true, or to follow his logic, because he did that, because he signed that bill, she must remain loyal to him forever. Forever. Yes.
And by the way, I'm sorry. I said Dina LaPolte. I refer to Dina LaPolte as a man. It's a woman. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, it's That's just hilarious.
I thought Trump didn't do quid pro quos. I'm so confused.
Depends. It depends on the context of when he needs to say that he did. Like that's but yeah, I just found that to be really quite funny.
Also, quite famously, Taylor Swift was basically destitute before that bill was signed into law. Famously, everyone knows this.
Barely hanging on. I mean, I'm not sure that she was a billionaire at the time, but she is now. So who can you thank for that? Think about it. She only had $900 million, and then Trump signed it. Now she's a billionaire. Convenient.
Much in the same way that Trump absolutely took the steps to grow the American economy that had been growing for the previous 7 years before he took over.
He's the only one. He's the only one who could do it.
That's right.
He's the only one. So yeah, Taylor Swift wins. As the poster I saw that I shared with you and Andy, all your Super Bowls belong to me. So yeah, I think it's hilarious. I think it's really pathetic that Republicans really made hay out of this, and I think the Biden administration fucking nailed it. Their response was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, this is why you need people in their 20s to run your social media accounts, because
absolutely.
they will always come with the dank memes to be able to get you talked about on this show.
I never thought that I would see a Joe Biden presidency taking the actual administration taking advantage of the dark Brandon dank memes. Like, that is just not something I ever saw coming. But like they've done it more than the Obama administration did. Like the Obama administration did like thanks Obama and stuff like that. But like the whole dark Brandon thing, they are just like fully embracing it. I mean, it's wild to watch actually.
But that's how you take the. I mean, that's a tried and true method of taking the sting out of someone's pejorative towards you, is by adopting and embracing it yourself. Yeah. Like we've seen it throughout history. Like it was very effective for that reason. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's weird. That's why Brad says the N word, but not with the ER. Like that's why he's a huge advocate for it. He's like, I think it's okay.
I'm an advocate for you saying.
Yeah, okay. Yes, clean it up while we're on tape, Brad. Clean it up.
That's right.
Oh, the things he says before we hit record, it's ridiculous. I don't approve of it, man. I really don't. All right, next up. Trump says he would encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want, and that's do whatever the hell they want, is in quotes, to any NATO country that doesn't pay enough. So former President Donald Trump on Saturday said that he would encourage Russia to do these things because a lot of the NATO member countries don't pay enough of their the amount of money they're supposed to put in.
I need to pause for a second and remind everyone, we've talked about this on the show before. It's probably something many of our listeners already know. Nobody pays into NATO. Like I will never ever understand the Republican
agree to
like why they just keep saying this, huh?
There's a
agree to disagree.
There's a big jar on the president's desk that's got masking tape on it that is NATO is scrawled on it, and then that's like where they put their coins in. It's like a swear jar for like international defense.
Like it really that line it's a trigger for me. Like it really fucking bothers me because like that's not how it works. That's literally never how it's worked. Like stop saying that. Like you could why don't you just say what they're accurately saying and they're not contributing enough toward their national defense. But again, that's not as doesn't sound as mean, I guess. Not as punchy.
Yeah, it doesn't hit the ear right? It's like not paying enough for it's their national defense. Like, what does that mean? And then that starts to ask other questions. The idea of a giant swear jar sitting on the president's desk where they come and they drop their coins in, that makes a lot more sense to them. To Brad's point, CNN actually put out like a fact-checking thing on this whole NATO thing. And look, I think they actually did a good job. It says all of these Trump claims are false, while a majority of NATO members do not meet the alliance's target of each member spending a minimum of 2% of gross domestic product on defense, the 2% target is a guideline that does not create bills, debts, or legal obligations if it is not met. In fact, the guideline doesn't require payments to NATO or the U.S. at all. It simply requires each country to spend on their own defense programs. And that's exactly right. Just spend 2% of your defense or of your GDP on this. Some countries do it, some don't. Some can afford to do it, some can't. It is what it is. Let's get real. If NATO is going over and like starting a hot war, which is not a thing for NATO, the vast majority of the people in the blue helmets are us, dude. Like, it just is. Like, it is. You know why? Because we got the biggest fucking military in the world.
Right.
We do. So yeah, it's ridiculous. But what is really disturbing is his actual words, right? You would tell Russia to do whatever the hell it wants to those countries? Like, we know that Trump wants to get out of the UN and he wants to get out of NATO. We are well aware of that. Anybody who thinks that that's not true, you are living in a land of make-believe, like you just are. So yeah, Trump wants out of NATO, of course. And so this is a way of sort of threatening people in NATO, like, hey, you better pay up, whatever that means, right? He also went on, previously he said that the pay into NATO, which again, it isn't really, has gone down over the years, like 15%, blah, blah, blah. It's not true. Like, in the 2 years going up to his presidency, not including any of his presidency, in the 2 years, it went up like 1.6% and 3%, right? In those 2 years respectively. So it's not decreasing. It's actually going up. So he does a lot of, what's the word? Lying. And again, these are things you can find out. Like, if you want to know how NATO works as far as like payments or not payments or percentages and stuff like that, this is all public knowledge. Like, this is not secretive. It's not behind, it's behind a glass door. Like, it's not behind some like locked door where you don't know the inner workings of NATO and how these countries come about and how they, how the powers, distribute it and things like that. No, it's behind a glass door, dude. You can just look the fuck in and see. It's very plain language.
Well, and this is a really, well, I would say it's a stupid thing to say, except I think to some extent he's saying it intentionally. Really dumb thing to say when there's a fucking dude over on the other side of the world who's currently fighting in a war to try to annex territory that he believes is his, and would probably like to annex more territory, including like NATO countries. So like having a dude that's running to be president saying shit like this is a real fucking problem.
Yeah. And look, NATO and NATO in general, but the member countries are actually working to try to do some behind the scenes work to try to basically Trump-proof NATO. Like, so in case he gets in, that he can't just fuck these people over like that.
Well, I mean, so he would not. I believe as things exist now, he's not able to just unilaterally be like, all right, we're out like that. Like, he would need congressional authorization to do that, to void that treaty.
Well, you say that, but remember, this is a guy who said that he would be a dictator on day one.
True.
So
that is what he said. And it actually requires Republicans in Congress to stand up to him. So.
Bingo. And that's exactly my point. Is it would require Republicans to say, "Hey, man, no, get the fuck out of here." And if he was like, "Hey, man, I'll just have all of you fuckers arrested" or some shit like that, and they're like, you know what? Do we really need to be in NATO? Then it doesn't matter. Then yeah, it gets dissolved, right? So it's a big deal, right? And this is ridiculous. And again, one guy is an insane fascist who is willing to rip the world apart for his buddy on the other side of the world. So what? They can just like finger cuff the world? Like, what is happening right now, right? Like, these guys just want to basically destroy all alliances so Putin can just run over Europe? I mean, it's insane.
But Jay, the other guy forgets things sometimes, and he's in his 80s. So,
6 on one hand, half a
who's to say who's actually worse?
Right. Me.
And I just have to, and I have to remind people, like, yes, there has not been a world war in 80 years. And NATO, even though it's been around since the end of World War II, hasn't really needed to, fucking roll troops and band together to fight back against a scourge. You know what I mean? Like that hasn't been a thing since the organization started. And the reason why it hasn't happened is because NATO exists. Like literally, like literally European history for like the hundreds of years leading up to World War II was other countries trying to take over other countries just constantly, all the time. And then the U.S. came along and helped end World War II and defeated Nazi Germany and the Axis powers. And they're like, hey, how about we all fucking form a treaty together so we can fucking put a stop to people trying to take over people's countries all the time. And they're like, you know what? That's a pretty good idea, America. Let's fucking do it. And NATO happened. And all of a sudden, people don't try to take over countries in Europe anymore. Yeah, it's amazing.
And if you again, I don't know if NATO was completely dissolved, and here's hoping that never happens. But I don't know that it would go back to trying to take over other countries. But it would certainly you would certainly see a lot more wars between them. You would see wars between them, like 100%, right? Like, you're not just going to stand there and my people are starving and Germany got all that sweet cash over there. I want it. Like, this is what's going to happen, right? You think Russia's going to just sit by while its people are starving in fucking bread lines if it can just roll tanks into the rest of Europe? I mean, come on. You really believe Putin would just be like, no, it's cool. I'll stay over here. No, there's
he's literally already not. As we speak right now.
And he's only being held back. He's only being, if we're being honest, Ukraine is fighting fighting hella hard and everything else, and they are thanks to weapons provided by NATO countries, by the way. But if those weapons and everything didn't exist coming from NATO countries into Ukraine, and Ukraine had to fend off Russia by itself, they would have rolled tanks through that place in a week and a half, and it would have been done, right? It would have been done, and then it would have been on to the next one, and then on to the next one, right? So you got World War II because of a lack of this. You have not had a World War III because of this. Don't do the logical fallacy thing of like, hey, I've been wearing this watch all week and I haven't been attacked by tigers. So I can probably if I take it off, I'm going to be attacked by tigers. Like, you're doing that in reverse. If we get rid of NATO, surely nothing's going to happen. No. If you pull out of NATO, we are the biggest, baddest boys on the block. If we get out of NATO, they will try to take over other countries. Russia will absolutely, major countries in Europe, right? No offense, I know the Ukraine is weak. I get all of that. But Ukraine is very small compared to other places. Hey, Poland, you're next.
I'm about to say they would absolutely try to go into Poland. And I think he would try it if Trump was president, if he thought that there's a real possibility that Trump would be like, nah, we're not gonna help.
I think Trump would just be like, it's not my problem. That's a European problem. By the way, if you think like, oh no, a president or Americans wouldn't support that, they would be like, hey, wait a minute, hold on a second. That's literally what happened in World War II. That's why we didn't get in the beginning. Hey, look what happened in Europe.
For several years. For several years, we were just like, "Oh, that's their problem."
Yeah, that's a European.
Same with World War I, by the way, too. Like World War I, we basically had our feet kicked up, and fucking Western Europe was like, "Hey, we could really fucking use your help over here," and we're like, "Oh, word! Is the war almost over? All right, cool. Let's come mop this shit up." And that's what happened. And then again, to your point, World War II, we were literally content with sitting on the sidelines until it landed on our doorstep, and then we're like, "Oh, now it's time to let's fucking go."
Nobody fucks with our boats.
That's right.
That clip is funny. That video is very funny. But it's absolutely true. We saw it as a European problem, and we just let the shit happen. So this idea of we saw this evil in the world, and we were like, we're gonna go over there and stop it. We're just like, I mean, as long as they keep that shit over there, dude, it's cool. And that's the crazy thing. If history was slightly different. Mm-hmm. If Japan did not decide, you know what, fuck it, we're going. Don't do that as a mistake. But if Hitler was just able to roll through Europe, it would have just all been fucking Germany, dude. And we would have just been like, all right, this is all fucking Germany. As long as you don't come over here fucking with us, we're just gonna chill over here. That's cool. That's crazy, man. Germany's really big now. Wow.
So it's almost as if an isolationist policy in this modern era, where we're all more interconnected than we've ever been before, it's a bad idea. Probably something we should be doing.
Yeah. No, definitely. Let's all just stay apart. Just don't worry about anybody else. It's all everyone else's problem, man.
Look, we're all floating around on this tiny fucking rock together. Like you like it's in all of our interest to fucking make things as united as possible. Yeah. Stop being stupid.
Yeah, well, that's not really republicanism, is it? All right. This is a pretty funny one. You want to take this? Oh,
yeah.
Actually,
so
you know what? I'm sorry. Before you go into this, and I do want to get into it really fast. I do want to give a live update. With 51% of the vote reporting, this is out of the New York race. This is the George Santos seat. It's not looking good for Republicans. No, I'm sorry. They've called it. They've called it.
It's over?
Dems won. Yeah. Thomas Suzy has beaten Mazi Philippe, or Philippe, excuse me. So it's now 218 to 213 Republicans in the House.
Cool. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
there you go.
Don't elect clowns to seats, and maybe you don't have to suffer the consequences later on.
Oh, sad. Yeah. This is the New York House District 3 special election. And hold on, I just want to verify it. Yeah, they've called it in. They've called it at the decision desk and also on PBS. So yeah, we're done here. All right.
Well,
there you go.
Good tee up, because speaking of clownish behavior, so we talked a couple of weeks ago about how the House decided that they wanted to impeach Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and they weren't counting on Al Green literally coming from his hospital bed in his scrubs to cast a vote against the impeachment, which killed it on the House floor.
Love it.
And Republicans blamed Democrats for surprising them, I guess, somehow. Like that was their line about that. But okay, cool. Maybe don't hold votes that you're not going to win, dumb fuck. Like learn how to be a speaker, Mike Johnson. But they wanted to take another crack at it tonight, and they have now successfully impeached Homeland Secretary Mayorkas by one vote. The same three Republicans that voted against it last time voted against it this time as well. But because they had their full membership in tow, they were able to get this slightly over the line. Again, you may be asking yourself, what is the high crime or misdemeanor that Secretary Mayorkas has committed to make this impeachment worthy? To which the answer is vibes, I guess. The vibes based impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas.
Yeah, so. Look, bro, I guess, what are we doing? There was a Republican today on Fox News. It was like, listen, the president could shut down the border with an executive order, but he won't. So we're just going to impeach the Homeland Secretary. Okay, so it's not like a policy issue. You're just doing it because you want the president to do something that he just doesn't want to do, which is shut down the border. Okay,
or you're just trying to, or because your guy got impeached twice, you're just trying to devalue the impeachment. The impeachment process in general. Like if you just do it frivolously, then it makes the impeachment of your guy look less important. Spoiler alert. That's not going to be the case. If you just frivolously impeach Biden officials, most people are going to actually turn to Republicans and be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" There's a reason that this process has not been used very often in the history of this fucking country. It's because it's reserved for the most grave of offenses. I mean, literally, Mayorkas is now the first sitting cabinet secretary to ever be impeached.
Yes.
Ever. So, cool. Good job, Republicans. You fucking dummies.
And this is going to go to the Senate and do what? Oh, right.
Schumer already said that he might they might just hold a procedural vote and just dismiss it like with a simple majority.
You should
before even hearing arguments from either side. So
knock it off. Like,
yeah, because again, this is fucking clown behavior. This is serious clown shit by the Republicans. They held literally. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. They literally held one hearing to determine the quote unquote evidence of whether or not this should happen.
There is no evidence.
Most people told them, hey, like this probably doesn't live up to an impeachment, considering that impeachment has a very specific, application in the Constitution. And they just went ahead and fucking did it anyway. Again, just to score political points.
Yeah, and not many, by the way.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about this. I bet you couldn't find the vast majority of people on the street who could tell you who Mayorkas is. Couldn't even tell you who he is. Because look, okay, you're going into an election year. People are talking about what's Biden doing? What's Trump doing? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, all that being said, you think anybody gives a fuck about Alejandro Mayorkas? As a name? Right? Because if you're going to use this as a political weapon, and that's not really what it's used for, right? Like you're to your point. If you're going to use that, then you're going to use it against somebody who has a name. You're going to go after Biden, right? But they can't. So, all right, cool. You impeach Mayorkas. It gets dismissed immediately without any hearings, and no one thinks about it again.
Yeah. And here's what. So Ken Buck, a Republican, a staunch conservative, like a Freedom Caucus fucking dude, who twice voted against this impeachment, literally said, quoting, "You can try to put lipstick on this pig, but it's still a pig, and this is a terrible impeachment."
Yeah.
Remember when Republicans got really upset at single party impeachments? Remember when Trump was being impeached, and they're like, "Oh, this is bullshit. It's a single party impeachment," even though Republicans voted for it too. Don't mention that part of it to them. Literally, this is the first single party impeachment in United States history. This is the first time that an impeachment has ever happened with just one party voting in favor of it.
Yeah.
But remember, they were upset because they said Democrats were trying to unilaterally impeach Donald Trump, even though both times they got Republican votes in the House to do it, and Republican votes to convict in the Senate, both times.
Yeah. Look, I live in a world, Brad, that is very confused by nonsense. I just don't understand why you have so many people going, yeah, no, this is the guy. This is the guy. This is the party.
There's gonna be whole fucking textbooks. There's gonna if the country survives as it is into the future. There's literally going to be whole college courses on the MAGA Republican era in American
100%.
politics.
100%.
Yeah, that's how much insanity we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You know how when you look back at history, American history now, you don't get a lot of the minutia, the small stuff that Congress has voted on and did because typically it's business as usual kind of stuff. Nothing weirdly notable happens. During this era, there's so many fucking notable things. Too many notable things have happened.
There's too much history. Too much history is being broken. You know what I mean? That's the weird thing, right? It's one thing to be like, oh, this is odd. It's every week. It's so once in a lifetime situation. We've never had a Speaker of the House be take 15 votes to get in. That's crazy. A year later, we've never had a Speaker of the House be booted out, and then Congress not had a Speaker of the House for 3 or 4 weeks. It's really weird. And then we've never had a new Speaker of the House who uses a program to check his son's porn and lets his son do it. We've never had these things. These are unprecedented, right? It's so weird, right? But you're right. A lot of it is normally business as usual. And, one thing that you realize is in that same regard is how much of politics is the gentleman's handshake. We all agree on this. And in this era, it's You didn't say I couldn't knife you in the back. It's like, yeah, I know, but like it says we are going to be friendly. It's like, well, it doesn't say I can't knife you, so I'm going to knife you. And it's like, all right, well, fuck, it didn't say that, right? So there's all of this like sort of like gaming the rules, and so that's why you see a lot of these like once in a generation, but now it's 7 times in a generation fucking issues. It's just bizarre, man. Like it really is bizarre. And I feel like people who don't follow politics and haven't followed politics,
I envy them.
I do. I wish I could be.
I envy the blissful ignorance that they're able to waft through life with.
Surely there's nothing bad happening in the world. Are we on the brink of fascism? I don't know. Let's just go to the store, But like I've been following politics for a very long time, right? And intently for quite a number of years. But like politics has changed so dramatically in the last 10 years, in the last 20 years. Like it's crazy how insane it's become. And in the last 5 years, it's become unreal. Like it's just unreal. Since Trump came down that escalator, it just went batshit crazy. Like it just went completely crazy. It was getting crazy. And you were like, well, all right, Republicans, that's pretty fucking dumb. But like they had like a semblance of like reasonable thought on things. And then he came down the escalator and then their brains just exploded. And they're just like, whatever you say. Like it's all right. You're just giving over. You're just like giving over the entire party to him. And he don't know shit. Like he don't know shit. It's just weird. So yeah, it's nuts. All right. Next up, this is kind of an interesting one. This is the kind of concrete shit I need. White House to require assurance from countries receiving weapons they are abiding by U.S. law. Now, the White House says that this has nothing to do with what's going on in the Gaza Strip. Spoiler alert, I don't believe you.
Very coincidentally timed. Okay.
Yeah, all right. All right, bro. It's like, dude, no one paying attention believes this. Okay, but like, that's fine. They're like, no. This is just an opportunity to be transparent with the American public about what the standards we require countries to adhere to, and how we go about obtaining assurances that they'll be met. Bullshit. You're like, yo, shit's popping off in Gaza. We got to make sure we got this shit written down that these guys, they told us. They lied to us. They lied to us. I'm on your side, TikTok. I'm on your side. These guys lied to us, man. So yeah, Biden administration will be requiring countries that receive weapons from the U.S. to provide credible and reliable written assurances to the State Department within 180 days. And if you are in a actual war, like a hot war zone right now, you have 45 days. Speaking to you, Ukraine and Israel. So basically, here's a weird line out of this article. This is from CBS News. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, has not disclosed how many civilians it's estimated it has killed. But Hamas officials in Gaza say the death toll is nearing 28,000. Okay? However, Hamas's statistics do not differentiate between civilian and combatant deaths. That's important to know. The IDF claims it has killed 9,000 fighters, but did not disclose the estimates of the civilian casualties. Let's say that Hamas is off by a bit. The IDF says they've killed 9,000 combatants. That's a big gap between 9,000 and 28,000.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big fucking gap, dude. For
context, I was just curious. I was just thinking about this. So you said 28,000, Palestinian deaths so far in this conflict, which has lasted
according to Hamas.
Right. So which lasted for 4 months. In the 8 years? Maybe more, 9 years, 10 years, however long Vietnam was. There were 58,000 American troop deaths in all of Vietnam.
Right.
The entire war.
Right. In the middle of...
For years. Yeah.
In the middle of what... And that's total deaths, not civilian deaths, everything?
That's just American troop deaths.
Oh, American troops. Yeah. How many Vietnamese? I bet that number is a fuck ton higher. I bet it's a fuck ton higher.
Oh, no doubt.
Million? Like, I mean, just insane, right?
Let's see here. 1.1 million dead.
Yeah, that's about right.
2 million total civilian deaths.
2 million total civilian deaths, right?
On both sides. On both sides of the war. So
right. So I don't know what the number is between that 9,000 and that 28,000, right? Look, I'm of the mindset that I don't take Hamas at their word. Sorry, I don't. Again, I know it's very popular on social media. Hamas is a terrorist organization. However, I also don't take the IDF at their word either. And the fact that they have not put out a number tells me they know that number is fucking high. And they know that that number is not a number that they want to be quoted in article after article after article, right? 9,000 combatants, good, bully for you, whatever. That's great. Look, I'm not mad that they killed 9,000 like enemy like actual military type soldiers. They're in the middle of a war. That happens. You can say, well, it's right or wrong. But I'm just saying, like, it's the middle of a war. That shit happens, right? What you cannot say is that it's acceptable for whatever that number after 9,000 is. And I guarantee you it's way higher than 1,000, right? I guarantee you it's in the tens of thousands because they're going in and just blowing buildings up, dude. The fuck do you think happens? Right? Even in the article, they're quoted as saying whole hospitals are full of people who have been killed and injured that are Palestinian.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's cool that the administration, brought this forward and are going to do this. But you actually need to enforce it. And I would love to see what happens when it comes to Israel not bringing these commitments in the 45-day period. And then will they really cut off aid to Israel? We'll see.
Yeah, because that's their whole thing. If they don't get these assurances, they can just cut off aid to these countries. Yeah, spoiler alert, that's not happening with Israel. Here's a really fucked up thing, and this may give you a little bit of an indication. Take a little bit of the current or the past, and then you can maybe extrapolate it out to what the future may hold. Quote, existing legislation known as the Leahy Law prevents the U.S. from providing weapons or funds for military assistance to groups where there is credible information indicating the groups have violated human rights. However, former Senator Patrick Leahy, a Vermont Democrat, has said that past administrations have waived applications of the law to Israeli Defense Force. That's not good, man. That's not good. Yeah, in the past, we just let Israel do whatever the fuck it wanted. But we've got this new law, and it's totally going to be different this time. Yeah. Okay.
Like
I like the idea of doing it, but
literally put your money where your mouth is. Yeah. On this.
Yeah, I just love that. I mean, it's been waived for the IDF before. Well, fuck. I guess this is probably useless, but it shouldn't be useless. If you're going to have this law, apply it across the board evenly. Like, look. Look, there's even a quote from Andy Blinken, which I was actually surprised to see. He says Israelis were dehumanized in the most horrific way on October 7th. The hostages have been dehumanized every day since, but that cannot be a license to dehumanize others. Yeah, this is a line you should have been saying on day fucking 2 when everyone's like, dude, they're killing innocent Palestinians. Andy Blinken should have been out there saying this shit from the jump, right? And this is a real mistake on their part.
I know that the administration does not want to look like they have their hands on the yoke of this war. You know what I mean? Like Absolutely. They want to let Israel do what Israel feels they need to do. Like they don't want to be, what they don't want to do is turn this into a proxy war with Iran, essentially, which, you know what I mean? Like that's what they're trying to avoid. But at the same time, like if you are truly serious about wanting to make sure that Israel is taking the humanitarian costs seriously, you have to be willing to fucking pull that money back. You have to like you have to be able to say, hey, like what we're seeing, this ain't it, chief. We've given you months to get your shit together. It's clear you aren't. Until you do, no more money, no more arms. Not we're not helping.
Yeah.
So unless you want to get started, like you want the Palestinians to really start pushing back on you, get your shit together.
Yeah. And
come up with an actual fucking plan to treat the citizens as best as you can and stop just fucking haphazardly bombarding civilian areas. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, we are 100% guilty in that because we're giving them bunker busters. You can't make sure you be discriminatory when you're using them. Have you heard of what those particular missiles do? Yeah, they are designed to drop deep underground and to blow shit up, blow up buildings. Right? They are not there to be precision weapons. They're not. They are a sword, just slicing through as much shit as you can damage at a time. So we're partially responsible for that sort of indiscriminate killing. Like, we just are. And I don't know why they gave them bunker busters. Well, I do. They gave for the tunnels. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, that's cool. But like, you do realize the ramifications of using those is going to knock buildings down and shit like that are going to have innocent people in it. Now, if you don't care about those kind of things, which it appears maybe you don't, then you got to own that as the U.S. too. Right? So, I mean, in fairness, it's fucked up, but it is what it is, right? And so, look, I'm glad they're doing the assurances and everything else, but you got to hold Israel to it. Like you said, you got to be willing to pull that money back. And if you're not willing to pull the money back, then what the hell are you doing? What is the point? You're just doing that. At that point, you're just doing it to try to convince us. Like, oh, look, I'm cool. Like, no. Like, do it because it's the right thing and hold them to it because it's the right thing to do. All right. Last week we talked about Ronna Romney McDaniel and how Trump, seeing a bus coming down the street, was ready to push her under it. But that hadn't been that wasn't definitive, right? Mm-hmm. That was just a rumor. Well, the bus has arrived, and Trump fully has both of his tiny hands on Ronna Romney McDaniel's back and is shoving her under said bus. Because now Donald Trump has officially endorsed his daughter-in-law to be the co-chair of the RNC. And not with Ronna Romney McDaniel being the other chair, by the way. And yeah, I'll explain that in a moment. So he's endorsed Lara Trump to help run the RNC. I know what you're thinking. Lara Trump, married to Eric Trump. This is a positive, right, for representation. We've never had a person who's clearly blind on running the RNC. Dude, has there ever been a better example of somebody just marrying somebody for their money? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but Eric is ugly, yo. Like, he's an ugly person, and he seems dumb. Like, he also seems dumb.
It's the gums. It's the gums. So,
like, Jesus Christ, that fucking guy. I mean, at least Don Jr. looks like a villain out of a sleazy '80s movie. Like, I get it. Like, if that's your thing, like
Eric Trump is one of the like 0.1 of 0.1% of people, of men, who somehow don't look better with a beard. But most men, like you throw a beard on them, and like it improves their face. Like beards just improve faces. But there's a very small section of men who just look worse with a beard. Ted Cruz is arguably in that camp as well. Though I prefer Ted Cruz with the beard. It takes away from his pointy nose, which drives me insane. So
no, you know what? I'm going to push back on that. Push back a little bit. I don't think Ted Cruz looks good with a beard, but Ted Cruz would look better with a beard if he lived in a time when Chester A. Arthur was president, 25th president, right? Like, he's got like an old-timey kind of beard, right? Like, of course, they do isn't this guy a Cuban? Get out of here. But like, I mean, they would. That would be something they would say. But like, he looks like an old timey guy. Like, it's weird. Like, why are you styling your beard that way? It makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, no, Eric Trump is like legitimately ugly. He's like a legitimately ugly person. But you know what? In fairness to him, he looks like his sister before she got all that plastic surgery. That's the truth. Like, if you look at old pictures of her and him when they were kids, now they looked alike. Mm-hmm. And then they cut off her head and gave her a new head, and then now she looks like a totally different person. But like, he's an OG Trump. Like, he's got the ugly Trump genes, right? But yeah, so Lara Trump, clearly a blind woman, is like, look, you should totally let me co-chair because I have a lot of experience in this. I'm married to Eric Trump. And that's the experience I have. Like, that's a lot for me. She's got a lot of it. Yeah, so Trump wants her to co-chair with Michael Whatley, who is the RNC's general counsel. So I guess the plan here is that they will boot out Ronna McDaniel. They will put these two yahoos in. Lara Trump will just grift the shit out of the RNC, suck all the funds they can out of the RNC, give it to Trump for his legal benefit, and then we're off to the races. So, by the way, I love this idea.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't see anything wrong with this whatsoever because, again, because she is there, you'd have to imagine the candidates that they will be endorsing. To paraphrase Trump, they won't be sending us our best or their best.
They will not be.
Let's just say, which could prove really beneficial in a couple of these swing state elections and Senate races that we have. I mean, look, we didn't put it on the docket, but you know, Maryland is now a battleground Senate seat. Thanks, Larry Hogan. You fucking toad.
Oh God.
Why couldn't you just fucking chill out and just enjoy being the former governor and maybe gear up for a 2028 run, asshole.
Yeah, look, but I got to tell you, I don't know that that's going to work out for him. I don't know.
I hope it doesn't, but I'm only concerned because the dude has already won 2 statewide elections. You know what I mean?
He has. But here's the thing, Marylanders, and I think most states, right? Maryland happens to be one of those states where our senators are not like big pivotal senators. They generally aren't, right? Not like California, New York, or some of the like you got like the big names and everything else. They're really out there. I don't think like governor is different, right? Because you're voting for a guy who affects your daily lives for the most part. They really affect, when you get out of bed, their laws are touching you. I don't know that Marylanders are that excited about Senate races. And I feel like him running for Senate is not going to have that sort of like groundswell. We got to get Larry on. I don't think so. I don't think people care about the Senate. Like in Maryland, I don't think so. Like I never heard anybody getting super jazzed up for a Maryland Senate race. I just never.
In fairness, it's because we also tend to keep senators there for like 30 years at a time. So,
but again, that goes with my point. They don't give a fuck. Are we having any major problems in the Senate for Maryland? No. All right then. Like I just don't think so. And again, that
I wonder if anyone
too, right? It may work to his advantage because there's not going to be enough maybe Democrats hyped up to defend that seat either. But like, I don't know.
Yeah. But he has name recognition. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing is that he is known by every Marylander for ill or for good. But again, like just the fact that he won 2 statewide races. Now, I'm trying to think when would he have run for governor? So Westmore. So the Maryland here's one thing that does work in our favor as Democrats. The Maryland gubernatorial elections are midterm elections on the federal side of it. Yeah. So he never had to run in a presidential year. So I think that benefits Democrats because the turnout's going to be higher to vote for to vote against Trump, ideally. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm less convinced that that's a slam dunk for him. I really am.
Yeah.
Because I just don't. I think your point about it being a presidential year makes a lot of sense. Because Dems get pretty hyped up, and look, they're gonna be pretty fucking hyped up going into this one. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.